and welcome to an Everyday Canines video. In this episode in the series of proofing you around the backs, we're going to look and see how we can take what we may have, so perhaps getting in the way and using a physical cue to get your dog around the back, and build it up to something much more independent. Our ideal goal is to get it purely on a verbal, but obviously it depends on how far you want to go with this and what suits you. So when I'm teaching this initially, and I want my dogs to understand, I aim to do this as shaping, and I want no arms to begin with, because if I'm pushing my dog like this and push round, yeah, I can get them round on an arm motion, but I want them to figure this out for themselves. So if I've got a Swift. So if she's here and I stand by this wing, good girl. And actually I would take this pole off. I would take that wing away, just concentrate on this wing. And all we're going to do is we're going to move, and good girl, and get our dog to just go around. No, I'm not rewarding that back, because I don't want rewarding checks at the moment. I just want to reward around the back. So you look at this wing. When she goes that way, that's a wing wrap. When she goes that way, it's around the back. So what I can do to reduce her going back is I can turn with her to encourage her to keep going all the way around. Okay. And because she's done this a lot, so she's getting really good at that. Okay, now I've got a little bit of that understanding, I can start moving and giving a bit more room to her to see what she does. So will she do it now that I move? I'm not right on the ring. Good girl. So obviously I'm still giving some physical when I do that, but now if I stand back, what will she do? Still offering. Good girl. This is all about building up value for doing something. Good girl. And she's working out for herself. So I build that up, and I'm only working on one wing at this moment in time. So I'm not working on that wing, I'm working on my right hand wing. So now that she's doing this behaviour confidently and it's something that she's figured out, I'm going to step back, and as she's doing it, I'm going to offer a cue. In this instance, it's going to be push. So push, push, good girl. And I'm going to bring her around again because I don't want her going back. Push, push, good girl. So again, building up that understanding. When I say that word, this is what happens. This is what you do. Good girl, come here. So now I've got it. Now look at my position. I'm doing this. I'm having her on my right because she's doing the right wing, and it's a straight line for her to go round the back. And as I've gradually worked it backwards as we've gone along, it's very obvious what I want her to do. Now I'm going to start taking a step into the side. Now look at that. The second I took a step into the side, she thought, oh, maybe she wants me to go there. So now I'm in a bit more this side. Good girl. Now there is more of an option. She could start to choose that. So now we're going to add the word and see if she'll do that. Swift. When I'm now facing a bit more, so I'm not as obvious. Okay. Push, push. Good girl. Okay. So I take another step. Now I'm doing this fast. You would do this in slower sessions, and you would work at your dog's level of confidence. If at some point they stop and hesitate, or they start getting things wrong, I usually go threes. If they get things wrong 3 times in a row, you need to go back a step. Or if they start to hesitate and look unsure for more than one repetition. Push, push. Good girl. Again, I'll move this way. Push, push. Now she's done this a lot as patterning, so this is, this is very logical. So I can be now here. Swift. See what happens here. This is where it can sometimes go wrong, because now it's starting to look like I want a wing wrap. Push, push. Good girl. Now, I've not used my arms. I've used very little physical cues apart from my positioning, and I've reduced that. So I'm gaining this level of independence, so that ideally, as we move on and further, she won't need an arm. She won't need that movement because she's learning it without that. If we can teach without the arm to begin with, we're better off, because otherwise you've got to phase it out. Now, if you're a handler who likes to give physical cues and you say, my dogs love physical cues, I prefer that, that's fine. All you would be doing is, as you are teaching this, you're still giving that independence, but you'd be giving an arm. So you'd go push, push. Do you notice that because I don't use an arm, she hesitated? Push, push. So she was more confident when I didn't have an arm. Okay, so that is your fundamental, that's your basics. That's what we're going to build up. And you're going to keep moving back until you can get further and further away. Ideally, you're going to be able to do this at a 10-meter span and send her there. We'll have more exercises that we're going to use to proof it further. And every time you do this and move on, you're doing this without arms. If you need to, put your arms behind your back if that's a problem. I would also suggest filming yourself, because it's always possible that you're giving head signals. Can happen. I did that with directionals. So even though your arms are out of the question, you might still be giving a signal. The thing to bear in mind is that you can look at the correct wing, and that helps enormously. So if you look at that correct wing and that's where you want them to go, the odds of them going over there diminish. So you can always look where you want to go. What we don't want to do is be giving any head signals without knowing it. Okay, so that's your basic, that's how you're going to start on this and how you're going to build your dog up to have great understanding and independence. Obviously, you've worked on the right wing. We would also work on the left wing, but we would do that at a separate session. This is going to take time. This is going to take, I would say this is going to take weeks rather than be able to be done in a couple of sessions. It's something you're going to work on, I'd say 2 or 3 times a week, just in the garden, around the house, low level, and then keep expanding on it. So I hope you've enjoyed this Everyday Canines video. If you have, you might like to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram. And I hope to see you all again very, very soon.